And I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA. There are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that.
Here we go again. Why is Caitlin Clark popular?
Caitlin Clark is only popular because she is white. That is a narrative that is very popular among the morons. Major moron, Monica McNutt, how she has a job, I absolutely know, at ESPN.
The one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her.
Why her?
Well, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
You think anybody cares if Dejounte Carrington knocks Kennedy Carter on her ass? No. You think anybody cares if Angel Reese misses her next 6 layups, falls down, shows her ass, and claims sexism? No. We only care that Caitlin Clark is playing. We only care that Caitlin Clark is getting beat up. We only care that Caitlin Clark is hitting a deep three. We only care that Caitlin Clark is getting poked in the eye. Everybody else can poke everybody else in the eye. The reason we care because her game is something we have not seen.
Something unexpected happened in the basketball world, and it didn't even take place on the court. One conversation between ESPN analyst Monica McNutt and the growing discussion around Caitlin Clark has reignited one of the biggest debates the WNBA has seen in years. Within hours, clips, reactions, and opinions flooded social media. Some fans defended McNutt's perspective. Others believed Caitlin Clark was being treated unfairly. Before long, millions of views, thousands of comments, and endless arguments had transformed a simple sports discussion into a nationwide talking point. But here's where things get even more interesting. As the debate intensified, rumors began spreading online faster than facts. Claims about secret feuds, lawsuits, and behind-the-scenes conflicts started appearing everywhere, even though many of those claims lacked verification. Instead of focusing on what actually happened, the internet became consumed by speculation. So what did Monica McNutt really say? Why has Caitlin Clark become the center of almost every major WNBA conversation? And how has one player's arrival changed the way fans, media, and even former players talk about women's basketball? Stay with me, because the full story is much bigger and far more surprising than the headlines suggest. Before anyone was debating television interviews, social media reactions, or media narratives, Caitlin Clark had already become one of the most talked about athletes in America. Long before she stepped onto a WNBA court, she was drawing record television audiences, selling out arenas, and inspiring a level of excitement rarely seen in women's basketball. Her college career transformed expectations. Every game seemed to produce another highlight: deep three-pointers, no-look passes, and performances that quickly spread across sports media. Fans who had never followed women's college basketball suddenly found themselves watching every possession. Broadcasters began dedicating more airtime to her games, and conversations about the future of the WNBA grew louder than ever. When the Indiana Fever selected Clark with the first overall pick, expectations immediately skyrocketed. The franchise wasn't simply adding an outstanding rookie, it was welcoming a player who had already become one of the sport's biggest attractions. Ticket demand surged, national television schedules expanded, and opposing arenas prepared for some of their largest crowds in years whenever the Fever came to town. That sudden attention also brought enormous pressure. Every pass, every missed shot, every victory, and every defeat became headline material. Analysts debated her playing style. Former players offered opinions on how quickly she would adapt to the professional game. Fans passionately defended her, while critics argued that the attention surrounding Clark sometimes overshadowed other talented stars across the league. As the season unfolded, another storyline emerged. Media coverage itself became part of the conversation. Some commentators emphasized Clark's historic impact on attendance and television ratings. Others argued that the league's success had been built over decades by many outstanding players and deserved broader recognition. These differing perspectives fueled passionate debates among fans, who often interpreted comments through very different lenses. Monica McNutt, like many basketball analysts, shared her views on topics surrounding the WNBA and Clark's growing influence. Her comments became part of a larger national discussion about media coverage, expectations, and how rapidly the spotlight had shifted toward one player. While many fans appreciated hearing different viewpoints, others strongly disagreed, leading to heated discussions across social media. Soon, short video clips began circulating online without their full context. Supporters and critics alike interpreted the clips in different ways, and discussions became increasingly polarized. As often happens on social platforms, speculation began spreading alongside legitimate reporting. Some posts claimed there were personal conflicts. Others suggested behind-the-scenes drama. More sensational claims even alleged legal action or direct confrontations. None of those claims were supported by verified public evidence. Yet the rumors continued to spread because dramatic headlines often travel faster than careful reporting. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark herself remained focused on basketball. Game after game, she continued adjusting to the speed and physicality of the WNBA. She celebrated wins with teammates, learned from difficult losses, and consistently emphasized team success in interviews. On the court, her passing, shooting range, and court vision continued to generate highlight reels and fuel excitement among fans. The Fever also continued developing as a team. Young players gained experience together, veterans provided leadership, and the coaching staff worked to build chemistry in a highly competitive league. Every improvement added another chapter to one of the season's most closely followed stories. What became increasingly clear was that the discussion surrounding Caitlin Clark had grown far beyond basketball statistics. She had become a central figure in conversations about sports media, fan culture, television ratings, and the future of women's basketball. And as the public conversation intensified, so did the pressure on everyone involved: players, coaches, analysts, and journalists alike. The question was no longer simply how Caitlin Clark would perform on the court. It had become how the WNBA, the media, and millions of fans would navigate the extraordinary attention surrounding one of the league's biggest stars. As the season continued, it became obvious that Caitlin Clark was no longer just one of the WNBA's brightest young stars. She had become the center of nearly every major basketball conversation. Whether it was a game-winning performance, a difficult loss, or a post-game interview, almost everything involving Clark quickly became headline news. Sports television shows devoted entire segments to discussing her impact. Podcasts debated whether the league had ever experienced a rookie with this much attention. Every impressive performance generated praise, while every difficult night produced another wave of criticism. Few athletes in recent memory had lived under such constant scrutiny. The conversation wasn't limited to basketball analysts. Former players, journalists, coaches, celebrities, and millions of fans joined the discussion online. Some praised Clark for bringing unprecedented visibility to the league. Others argued that the WNBA's success was built by generations of players long before Clark arrived and deserved equal recognition. Those differing opinions often created heated debates that extended far beyond basketball itself. As these conversations spread across social media, short video clips began circulating everywhere. A few seconds from a television interview could quickly reach millions of viewers. Some clips were shared with accurate context. Others were edited, shortened, or paired with dramatic captions that didn't fully reflect what had actually been said. Before long, many fans were no longer discussing complete interviews, they were reacting to isolated moments. That created confusion. Supporters of different viewpoints often watched the same clip, but reached completely different conclusions. Comment sections filled with passionate arguments. Trending hashtags appeared almost daily. Every new interview seemed to restart the debate. Monica McNutt's comments became part of that larger conversation. Like many analysts, she discussed Clark's influence on the sport, the league's growth, and the broader context surrounding the WNBA. Some viewers agreed with her perspective, while others strongly disagreed. The discussion itself became one of the biggest stories. Then the rumors started. Posts claiming secret conflicts, private disagreements, and dramatic behind-the-scenes events spread rapidly across social media. Some even alleged legal action or personal feuds. There has been no verified public evidence supporting those claims. Even so, the rumors continued to circulate because sensational headlines often attract more attention than careful reporting. Meanwhile, inside the Indiana Fever organization, the focus remained on basketball. Players continued preparing for games, coaches worked on strategy, and the team concentrated on improving throughout the season. Clark consistently emphasized teamwork in public appearances, giving credit to teammates and coaches after victories while taking responsibility after difficult performances. That professionalism impressed many observers. Despite constant headlines and non-stop speculation, Clark rarely responded publicly to internet rumors. Instead, she allowed her play to speak for itself. Big assists, deep three-pointers, improved decision-making, and growing chemistry with teammates became the focus whenever the Fever stepped onto the court. Still, the outside noise never disappeared. Every nationally televised game brought another round of discussion. Television ratings continued to climb whenever Clark played. Arenas remained packed. Merchandise sold quickly. Broadcasters recognized that Fever games consistently attracted large audiences, making Clark one of the league's biggest attractions. With greater popularity came even greater expectations. Fans wanted championships immediately. Critics questioned every mistake. Analysts debated every coaching decision. Supporters defended Clark passionately, while others argued that basketball remained a team sport that should never revolve around one player. In many ways, that was the real story. The debate had grown beyond individual comments or isolated interviews. It reflected how rapidly women's basketball had entered the national spotlight, and how one extraordinary rookie had become central to discussions about competition, media coverage, and the future of the league. And just when it seemed the conversation couldn't become any bigger, another series of games would push Caitlin Clark and the Fever into an even brighter spotlight. The next chapter wouldn't be defined by television debates. It would be defined by what happened on the court. As the media debate continued to dominate headlines, Caitlin Clark faced a choice that every superstar eventually encounters. She could respond to the endless commentary, or she could let her performance answer the questions. She chose the second option. Night after night, Clark stepped onto the floor knowing every possession would be analyzed. Every three-pointer, turnover, assist, and defensive play would become another topic for television panels and social media discussions. Very few rookies, or even veteran stars, have experienced that level of attention. Yet Clark continued focusing on basketball. Her passing remained one of the most exciting parts of her game. She consistently found teammates with no-look passes, full-court outlets, and perfectly timed assists that energized both the crowd and her teammates. Even opposing coaches acknowledged that her court vision could change a game in seconds. Her shooting also continued to stretch defenses. Opponents began picking her up far beyond the three-point line, forcing entire defensive schemes to adjust. That extra attention often created opportunities for Indiana's other players, allowing the Fever offense to become more balanced as the season progressed. The improvement wasn't just individual. Indiana gradually developed stronger chemistry. Young players became more comfortable with each other, veterans embraced leadership roles, and the coaching staff continued refining rotations. Every victory built confidence, while every defeat became another learning experience. Fans noticed the progress. Attendance remained among the highest in the league whenever the Fever played. Television ratings continued drawing national attention, and arenas around the country filled with fans hoping to watch Clark in person. Many games felt more like playoff atmospheres than regular season matchups. Meanwhile, the conversation surrounding Clark never slowed down. Every outstanding performance generated another wave of headlines. Sports talk shows debated whether she had already changed the league forever. Analysts compared her impact to previous stars who helped women's basketball grow over the decades. Supporters praised her influence, while others reminded viewers that the WNBA's success had been built by generations of talented players long before Clark arrived. Both ideas could be true at the same time. Clark's popularity brought unprecedented attention to the league, while today's WNBA also stands on the foundation built by countless players, coaches, and pioneers who helped elevate the sport over many years. Unfortunately, nuance often disappeared online. Instead of thoughtful discussions, social media frequently rewarded the most dramatic headlines. Short clips spread faster than full interviews. Emotional reactions gained more engagement than careful analysis. As a result, rumors regularly overshadowed verified information. Clark herself rarely added fuel to those debates. In interviews, she consistently redirected attention toward her teammates, coaches, and team goals. Rather than responding to every viral post or television segment, she emphasized improving each game and helping Indiana compete at the highest level. That approach earned respect from many around the basketball world. Current players praised her competitiveness. Coaches highlighted her work ethic. Even opponents acknowledged the unique challenge of defending someone capable of changing a game with one remarkable shooting streak or one perfectly placed pass. The fever continued moving forward. Each game became another opportunity to prove that development takes time. Every practice strengthened chemistry. Every close contest prepared the team for future challenges. Expectations remained high, but so did optimism about what Indiana could accomplish with its young core. At the same time, media discussions continued surrounding Clark's influence, television ratings, league growth, and the evolving landscape of women's basketball. Those conversations showed no signs of slowing down. Because by now, Caitlin Clark had become more than just one exceptional player. She had become one of the defining stories in modern sports, a player whose impact was measured not only by points and assists, but also by the millions of fans now paying closer attention to the WNBA than ever before. And with every game, one question continued growing louder. What would the next chapter of the Caitlin Clark story look like? By this point in the season, something remarkable had happened. The conversation surrounding Caitlin Clark was no longer just about points, assists, or wins. It had evolved into a much broader discussion about sports media, fan culture, expectations, and the future of the WNBA itself. Every major sports network seemed to have an opinion. One analyst would praise Clark's historic impact on television ratings and attendance. Another would remind viewers that the league had been built by decades of extraordinary players whose contributions deserved equal recognition. Neither perspective erased the other, yet the internet often treated them as if fans had to choose one side. That created an environment where every comment became a headline. A routine television discussion could suddenly dominate social media. A short clip from a podcast might receive millions of views within hours. Headlines became more dramatic, reactions became more emotional, and thoughtful conversations often gave way to quick judgments. For Caitlin Clark, that meant living under a microscope. Every interview was analyzed. Every facial expression sparked theories. Every post-game answer generated hundreds of articles and thousands of online comments. Supporters defended her passionately, while critics questioned nearly every aspect of her game and the attention she received. Very few athletes experience that level of scrutiny so early in their professional careers. Yet Clark rarely changed her public approach. She continued emphasizing teamwork, credited her coaches and teammates after victories, accepted responsibility after losses, and consistently redirected attention toward basketball rather than internet debates. That consistency impressed many observers. Former players often noted how difficult it is for any young athlete to perform while carrying enormous expectations. Coaches across the league acknowledged the pressure that comes with becoming the face of a rapidly growing sport. Even opposing players recognized that Clark attracted unprecedented attention wherever the Fever played. At the same time, discussions involving analysts like Monica McNutt reflected another important reality. Healthy disagreement is part of sports. Analysts are expected to offer opinions, challenge narratives, and examine different perspectives. Fans are equally free to agree or disagree with those opinions. The challenge begins when social media transforms disagreement into personal conflict or spreads rumors that go far beyond what anyone actually said. That's exactly what happened throughout much of the season. Short clips often circulated without full context. Dramatic captions attracted millions of views. Rumors spread rapidly despite lacking reliable evidence. As those stories traveled from one platform to another, many became increasingly exaggerated. The result was confusion. Some fans believed claims that had never been verified. Others dismissed legitimate discussions because they had become mixed together with sensational rumors. Separating fact from speculation became increasingly difficult. Meanwhile, the Fever kept playing basketball. Inside the locker room, preparation remained the priority. Coaches focused on game plans. Players worked to improve chemistry and consistency. Every practice, film session, and road trip centered on building a competitive team, not responding to online speculation. That contrast became impossible to ignore. Outside the organization, conversations revolved around headlines and controversy. Inside the organization, the focus remained on execution, improvement, and winning basketball games. Perhaps that difference explains why Clark has continued earning respect throughout the league. Rather than becoming consumed by every trending topic, she has consistently returned her attention to the court. As the regular season progressed, the Fever looked increasingly capable of competing with established contenders. Their young core gained confidence, veteran leadership stabilized difficult moments, and optimism about the franchise's future continued to grow. Still, one reality remained unchanged. As long as Caitlin Clark was on the court, every game, every interview, and every public discussion would continue attracting extraordinary attention. The basketball world wasn't simply watching another talented rookie. It was watching a player whose influence had already changed the conversation surrounding the entire league, and whose story was still only beginning. As the season moved forward, one thing became impossible to ignore: Caitlin Clark's influence extended far beyond the Indiana Fever. Every road game felt like a special event. Families traveled hundreds of miles just to watch her play. Young fans filled arenas wearing Clark jerseys, hoping to catch a glimpse of one of basketball's brightest stars. Ticket demand remained strong across the league whenever the Fever came to town, and television networks continued scheduling Indiana for nationally televised games. The numbers reflected that growing interest. Attendance increased in many markets. Television audiences reached levels rarely seen for regular season WNBA games. Merchandise sales remained strong, and discussions about the league became part of the broader sports conversation in ways that hadn't happened consistently before. But increased attention also created increased expectations. Every outstanding performance strengthened Clark's reputation as a franchise cornerstone. Every difficult game led to fresh questions about coaching, roster construction, and how quickly Indiana could become a championship contender. Fans began looking beyond the current season. Could the Fever build a title-winning roster around Clark? Which players would fit best beside her? How aggressive should the front office be during free agency? Would Indiana prioritize veteran experience or continue developing its young core? Those questions fueled endless debate. Some believed the Fever should make bold roster moves immediately to maximize Clark's championship window. Others argued that patience would produce better long-term results, allowing chemistry and player development to continue naturally. Inside the organization, however, the message remained consistent. Winning championships requires time. Great teams are rarely built overnight. Success depends on trust, player development, coaching adjustments, and maintaining a strong culture over multiple seasons. Every contender in professional basketball has faced setbacks before reaching the top. Clark's own approach reflected that philosophy. Rather than focusing on outside expectations, she consistently emphasized improving as a player. Interviews highlighted learning, teamwork, and adapting to the professional game. She often praised teammates for their contributions and credited coaches for helping the group continue progressing. That attitude became one of her greatest strengths. Despite enormous media attention, Clark rarely allowed outside narratives to distract from basketball. Whether headlines praised her or criticized her, she continued preparing the same way each game. Meanwhile, discussions involving analysts, journalists, and fans continued evolving. The debates were no longer just about one rookie. They had become conversations about media coverage, league growth, competitive balance, fan expectations, and the remarkable transformation women's basketball was experiencing. Some commentators celebrated Clark's role in expanding the sport's audience. Others reminded viewers that today's success had been built through decades of dedication by players who came before her. Those perspectives often appeared to compete with each other, yet together they told the complete story of a league continuing to grow. Perhaps that was the most important lesson. Growth rarely happens without debate. When a sport reaches new audiences, different opinions naturally emerge. Passionate discussions reflect increased interest. More viewers bring more perspectives. More attention brings more scrutiny. The challenge is ensuring those conversations remain grounded in facts rather than rumors. Throughout the season, countless dramatic claims spread online, many of which lacked reliable evidence. Yet each viral story demonstrated just how invested fans had become in the WNBA's future. For the Indiana Fever, that future appeared brighter than it had in years. The organization possessed a talented young core, growing national support, and one of basketball's most recognizable players. Challenges remained, but so did opportunity. As expectations continued rising, one question lingered above every discussion. Could Caitlin Clark help lead Indiana back to championship contention, and in doing so, help usher the WNBA into its next era of growth? Only time would answer that question. But one thing already seemed certain. The league would never look quite the same again. As the regular season entered its most important stretch, the conversation surrounding Caitlin Clark showed no signs of slowing down. Every game now carried extra significance. Fans weren't just watching to see whether the Indiana Fever would win or lose. They were watching to see how Clark would respond to pressure, how quickly the team would continue developing, and whether Indiana could establish itself as a legitimate championship contender in the years ahead. That level of attention is both a privilege and a challenge. Very few athletes become the face of an entire league so early in their professional careers. Every success is celebrated. Every mistake becomes a headline. Every interview is analyzed. Every social media clip sparks another round of debate. Yet through all of it, Clark's public message has remained remarkably consistent. Her focus has stayed on basketball. She has repeatedly emphasized improving every day, trusting her teammates, and helping the Fever become a better team. Rather than responding to every rumor or online argument, she has continued letting her performances speak louder than internet speculation. That approach has earned respect throughout the basketball world. Teammates have praised her competitiveness and willingness to learn. Coaches have highlighted her work ethic. Opponents have acknowledged the unique challenge of defending a player capable of changing a game with a single shooting streak or one perfectly timed pass. The Fever organization also faces an exciting opportunity. With a talented young core, increasing national exposure, and growing fan support, Indiana has positioned itself as one of the league's most closely watched franchises. Every off-season decision, draft pick, roster move, and coaching adjustment will be carefully examined because expectations have changed dramatically. Fans aren't just hoping for improvement anymore. They are expecting playoff success. They are dreaming about championships. And they believe the Fever have the foundation to compete with the league's best teams for years to come. Meanwhile, the broader WNBA continues benefiting from unprecedented attention. Television audiences have expanded. Attendance has increased in many arenas. More sponsors, media coverage, and new fans are discovering the league than ever before. That growth isn't the result of one player alone, it reflects years of work by athletes, coaches, executives, and organizations across the WNBA. At the same time, Clark's arrival has undeniably brought millions of new eyes to the sport, creating opportunities that benefit the league as a whole. The debate surrounding Caitlin Clark has therefore become much larger than basketball. It is a conversation about how sports evolve, how media narratives shape public opinion, how social media can amplify both facts and misinformation, and how one extraordinary athlete can inspire excitement while also becoming the center of intense scrutiny. As the season continues, there will undoubtedly be more headlines, more viral moments, more passionate discussions, and more unforgettable performances. Some stories will prove true. Others will fade away as nothing more than online speculation. The challenge for every fan is learning to separate verified information from sensational rumors while still enjoying the excitement that makes sports so compelling. One thing, however, is no longer up for debate. Caitlin Clark has already left a lasting mark on the WNBA. Her performances, popularity, and ability to capture the attention of millions have helped usher in a new era for women's basketball. What happens next will depend on hard work, teamwork, and continued growth, not viral headlines. The next chapter of the Caitlin Clark story is still being written. And whether you're a longtime WNBA fan or someone who only recently started watching, there's a good chance you'll want to see how it ends. What do you think about everything that's happened surrounding Caitlin Clark this season? Has the media helped grow the WNBA, or has the non-stop debate created more division than excitement? Do you think Caitlin Clark is already changing the future of women's basketball, or is the spotlight around her becoming too overwhelming? I'd love to hear your opinion, so head down to the comments and let me know where you stand. Just remember, keep the conversation respectful. Great sports debates are built on different perspectives, and that's what makes basketball so exciting. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more in-depth WNBA stories, player analysis, trade rumors, game recaps, and the biggest headlines surrounding Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever, and the rest of the league, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next video. We are covering every major WNBA story as it develops, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.